He's back. I call him the big fella. The big fella's back on the show. And we're going to the life and times of Mavericks and UC Santa Cruz. This little number you have over there, whatever the heck, that's
Ricky Bobby Bowie.
Looks like something out of the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to call it Jetson, I think. And then my friend Grant Washburn's back on the Authentic Radio Show. I want to thank the guys from the Old Prince Atlantic for letting us sit here and have a beer and just tell stories.
Yep.
What do you talk about?
Worst season ever, man.
Huh? The worst season ever?
Nah, I don't know. Hopefully not. But it's not starting out very good.
I know we haven't been swell for a while, huh?
Usually we don't have to wait.
But the summer was pretty good. Wasn't summer good?
Yeah,
There's
but
some good swell down.
I'm not a small wave trick person. I want some big waves, and the big waves usually come before Halloween or at least one day. So this is not.
What's the smallest
not
wave
looking
you'll
good.
surf?
I'll surf the smallest waves, but I don't hunt them. No, I mean I had fun all summer. You're right, it was good. I know, that's nice, but we all waiting for the first North Pacific swell to come, and got new boards from Mark Andrini, and
Oh, you do go from
can't even
Mark?
try it. Yeah, actually, I have one of those in the car too. Yeah, but
What a character he's got. We're doing that.
I didn't watch it, but I
Oh, you
really love it.
didn't?
He's
So we're
great,
going we're going decade by decade.
Right.
Right. I think we're in the 80s,
Okay.
and it's just he's a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
He's got a million. And fascinates me is the number of people he remembers, not just and their names. Like, dude.
That's not me.
Huh?
I don't remember anyone. I don't remember Mark though. Yeah, but what a neat guy, and geez, man,
Does
makes
he
some
write
really
these-
great boards.
Does he make you Mavericks boards?
He is, yeah.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, kind of, sort of a random, fun story.
He
that-
didn't bring you up once, you know?
He did-
he didn't bring
no,
you up
no,
once in
no,
the
'cause it's all
conversation.
secretive. In fact, I can't even say I know. My other shaping friends are like, stop talking about these edge boards.
Yeah.
Just go surf and we'll see if it works or not. But
They work?
they do, but
Yeah.
we need a good couple swells to prove it. So
What's on the horizon?
starting finally, waves.
Yeah.
So hopefully before Thanksgiving we get at least a little bit, and then you never know. Like just because it starts slow doesn't mean it won't be a great year. But there's been out of my 30 years, this is starting out as one of the worst for Mavericks. Zero.
What was your first? Where did you first paddle out there?
I first saw it in '91.
Yeah.
In '92, January was my first session.
So you looked at it first. You looked at
Yeah.
it first,
Yeah.
and then surfed it. Took a season to looking at it.
No, nobody knew much about it, and
Yeah.
a good friend. I only had one board, and a good friend of mine and I got them at the same time. And he went out to Mavericks, and it went in the rocks, and I saw his board, and that probably alone kept me from coming here for a month or two because you can't fix it.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing. It was like it got in a hammer fight. There was no fins, no nose.
Destroyed.
Yeah, I just and at Ocean Beach where I was surfing, if your board breaks, you could get it and put it back together. You
Yeah.
know, and that's kind of what I planned on doing. In fact, I did do it with that board, but so I was scared of losing my board, and I was from Connecticut, and I didn't really know if I was up for that kind of stuff anyway.
Right.
But we didn't know what it was until we saw it. There was no pictures or anything. So the first time I saw it was from close, was paddling up to it. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Sorry. That was scary. Very scary.
And your first wave that you surfed out there, when was that, and how big was it? You went, okay, I can do.
Yeah, I
I
don't
can-
know. Because I was a filmmaker. My plan was
Just to make
surf movies, and I was making one about Ocean Beach, thinking that those outer bars was like the biggest waves in the world, and I was like, oh, we're gonna catch the biggest wave in the world, film it, and I didn't think I would ride them. So I worked on NFL film stuff, and I was getting short ends of motion picture film and shooting it at Ocean Beach, and Mavericks, we heard about it, but like everybody, I think, shared that like it's a big fish story.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
don't believe it,
Yeah.
So I hadn't been here very long, but I would drive up and down the year that I was here, and everywhere I went was smaller than Ocean Beach. So if we were out at Ocean Beach on the big day, if you went to Scott Creek or Santa Cruz, it would be smaller, And so I was like, I don't want to go to these other places where are crowded and the waves are smaller, like the big waves. And then Mavericks, people said, no, this is bigger. And I didn't believe it until there was one specific photo that my roommate took, and I was in the water surfing Ocean Beach when he took the photo, and it blew me away. It was like twice as big as
Did it frighten you, or did it excite you?
No, I was excited. I don't remember being scared. I remember thinking, throw away my other movie. Like, that was it. I was just like, oh my God, it just, that was the same day, because it was the biggest wave that we ever seen, and this was a kind of a medium big day at Ocean Beach, but it was like 40, 50-foot wave
here
at Mavericks, and that's 30-foot waves at Ocean Beach, which are big, but it's so focused and huge down here comparatively that, you know, if you're waiting around to catch a giant one at Ocean Beach, it's going to be a lot harder to get one that big, and you're going to have to wait for a much bigger day to get one that big. So so that reframed it, and then I was interested.
Did you go out there first as a photographer or as a surfer?
No, I was going to go surf, and I had surfed enough. I was young and I was fit, and like I was just totally into it. And my neighbor was Mark Reniker, Doc Reniker, and he was like, "Come!" And they couldn't get anybody to go with them really. And they're like, "You come, you're fine, you do fine." And I was like, "Okay." And there was Richard Schmidt was out, and Vince Collier, and Jeff Clark, and a couple other guys, Sean Rhodes. I remember watching those guys, and they were all catching just bigger waves than I knew anyone ever rode, you know. And I was sitting on the side just getting a feel for it, but I did catch a few, and I pretty much, I don't remember, I know I wiped out on one, but it wasn't scary. I was way on the side.
Yeah, did you do any training for it or no?
No, I was just surfing all the time. Just Ocean Beach is good training.
Yeah.
That's all we did is surf, you know, close out beach breaks all the time. But
get in, get out, get off.
But I was hooked, man. I caught a couple, but I was more about seeing, I saw Richard Smith's big giant barrel that became a board tag for O'Neill. And I watched a couple other ones, and I was like the last guy in the parking lot, just sucking it up. You know, like everything was so much more gnarly. Like I had what I thought was a big board, it was a 9.0, and I had what I thought was a thick leash, and it was not. And I seen these guys with like cable, you know, ties, you know, like so much more heavily built than what I was used to.
Yeah.
And Jeff was like a carpenter, so his like stuff was like robust, you know what I mean? And the game is just so much more heavy. Like in East Coast where I grew up, you could have a board your whole life. You get a ding in it, and you're like, oh no, you know, because you want to don't let it. But here, you break in boards every week. You know, like they just don't get attached to them because there's nothing you can do. You can make it entirely out of wood.
Yeah.
It's still gonna break.
Still gonna break.
Yeah.
You got concrete gonna break.
So it was like such a mind blow thing. It was the best. I don't know. I was super hooked, and I didn't think I was gonna ride them, but I wanted to be there for it. Yeah.
Did you enjoy surfing the contest?
Yeah, you know, like that was later. I mean, there was always the eddy from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So when I was 18, I remember that was the one time that big waves were on TV. You know, in the old days when there was no internet or cable or nothing. And, ABC I think had that, the eddy. And I was 18, and Brock Little was 18, and I remember he did well, and I was thinking, wow, like we're the same age. And but again, I never thought I would do it. I just loved it, and I was affixed to it, or like obsessed with it. And then I did have some weird dreams that I dreamed I was in a contest with Brock Little. And I was in college in Connecticut, and I'm thinking, and I remember holding up the magazine to my roommate. I was like, hey, the guy that took the picture later, and said, "Do you think I could ride these?" And he was like, "Go back to bed, buddy. You're joking." So I never really aspired to it. I just loved it enough to get. That's how I got out here.
You're attached to the hip with this wave right here. Your whole career, your whole career has been around that wave, huh?
Yeah, but it was not just that. It was just big waves, you know. It's like that's what I came looking for, and I was on my way to Hawaii, I think, after school. And then when I got here, I was waiting for this other roommate of mine that was going to go on the trip, and he was late graduating, and I ended up seeing how big the waves were, and I was like, I don't want to go to Hawaii. Like, there's so many big waves here, and there's no people. And you know, what I was hunting was here. You know, I just didn't know it. And nobody knew it, really. But I was after the idea of the big waves, and Mavericks was a perfect place to learn it. But then even after that, I was excited about Cape Town and Peru and Spain, you know, like you know, new big wave spots are super cool too.
Like Nazaré.
Yeah, I think I would have liked that when I was younger. Now I'm like, I don't know if I need to go there. Yeah.
Right, it was 100 feet, but that way you got to get paddled. You have to get towed into it.
No, you can catch them.
You can?
Yeah, Nick Lamb caught a pretty big one this week.
Really?
But the thing is, like, you're gonna get smashed, you know.
Yeah, you're getting smashed.
So in the old days, that was what I was good at. You know, like I loved that. When a big giant set would come and smash everybody, like I was gonna be good, you know. So that's how I could kind of do well.
I remember there's a photo you sent to me. I don't know where it is. I got it somewhere where you were looking up at like a 60-foot wave.
Yeah.
I think you were on the left side, on the left.
Yeah.
and I think you were looking up, going, oh.
Going down. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. No, those are the scary times. So I don't know. I mean, I was always attracted. I never wanted to die. I don't want to die, but I loved the idea of the big waves. It was like the sacred Hobbit quest for me. And then finding it to be bigger than you imagined it to be, and like more exciting than you thought it could have been. Like all that stuff was like it overachieved, you know, all my dreams. And then
What about your family though, like Kathleen? Right? She's like, "Hey, honey, I'll be back to see you tonight. I'm gonna go surf for some 60-foot waves." And she going, "Oh my God, this is the last time I'm gonna see him."
yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning, I imagine she, like some people would think, oh, you'll grow out of it or whatever. But anyone that's, you know, I think she realized at some point before we even got married that this is how it is. You know, I can't not be there. I can't be happy if I'm not like part of whatever we're doing. And you know, that she'd rather me be happy and come back than be sitting home complaining and be super miserable. So it's like, I think, trust too, that I'm not being stupid. I'm gonna stay within myself and not take reckless chances. And you know, that's part of it.
You mentioned the GOAT, greatest of all time, Peter Mel.
Yeah.
He's the best guy out there?
Yeah, we had a fun conversation about it. Other guys, I mean, for who can surf that well for that long, you know, to find someone that's been like that. So I think at Mavericks, he was always one of the best from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And he's still, you know, so I think it's pretty hard to compete
How
with.
about 2010 when the British victory?
Yeah, I mean, well, check Pete's wave during that though. Like, I mean, there's like, and Twiggy caught it like a 10 in one heat and then didn't get any waves the next heat. So,
Yeah.
you know, British outlasted it in a way. Carlos Brulé, some of these guys are just, you know, wipeouts don't stop them.
No.
Myself, like, I caught a couple of wipeouts and I'm like, all right, I'll take 12th or whatever.
Take that what?
12th place, or, you know, like, I'm not driven to the point of like, I need this.
Yeah.
And not that that's what they're doing, but some guys just, the more they get beat on, the more they go for it, you know. And British and Carlos are two guys that outlasted that. You know, 2010 was
I think
super
British
intense.
I think if I remember the story, and I've interviewed him a few times, British needs to do well because he needs to make a check.
Oh yeah, he borrowed money to come.
Because he
Yeah.
gets to get home.
No. And I knew it was funny because I was sitting on the side and I've known him for a really long time. I surfed with him his first time he came out here before I went to Cape Town and all that. And nobody knows what the score is, and nobody had been making them. Carlos was just wiping out, and he was paddling back. And I said, "Chris, just make one. Just take an easy one and make it, because that'll get you a 6, and you'll win." Okay. And he didn't think he won even at the end.
Did he
It's pretty
really?
funny.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. It's hard to tell what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
You sort of hope that your waves are good and theirs aren't, but you
With
can't.
this new contest, which is called what? Mavericks. What's it called? The new contest? Not even a contest.
It's just like a seasonal awards thing, and that's similar to what was the
Mavericks
XXL.
Awards.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna work?
Well, I've done a couple of years, and you know, the idea is it's not about a single day. You try to pick out the rides from the whole year and give the people the same as the XXL Awards was doing. So the best barrel of the year, the best big wave of the year, the best performer of the year.
Do you think people are going to put the video, or donate their videos to, you know, the judges, or they care?
It's got to be. It's hard to do it in a way that's going to be fair and, like, you know, hold up under scrutiny. So that's the problem. Is like, is everyone going to agree with the choice? You have a panel of judges and a bunch of footage.
But you don't judge anymore. You're not judging for it, right?
No, I'm going to try to win them this year. So yeah. It's hard. You know, all these things are difficult, and you're never going to get everybody to agree on how to do it. You can appreciate the effort or the idea of supporting the surfers, but a lot of times it's sort of like it doesn't work out. And
But do you think from the past, do you think now that the Mavericks there's always a lot of fingers in the pie trying to make money and profit from the wave. Do you think that's now disappeared? Now it's become a video contest. Oh, that's people still involved.
yeah, no, people are coming. It's too exciting and fun, and you know, everybody has their own view, a vision of how they could do something special with it, and I think that's sometimes the disconnect is the surfers that are really out there all the time versus someone who has a vision of it and how they think they can market it, or you know,
Let's say you had full control. What would your vision be for that wave? What would it be?
At this point, honestly, it's been really great to not have like the one-day events, because unless it's run really well, it's divisive, and like it cuts people out. People's feelings are hurt, and even sometimes the people that get invited feel unlucky, like they got judged unfairly or whatever. So even if you're one of the lucky 12 that get picked to be on the thing, that doesn't mean they're happy. And then there's 100 people that feel like they got left out. So at this point, there's so many good surfers. I think it's better to have something kind of open criteria, because to shut it down and lock it down and exclude people, and say a year like this, like if we don't get any, like, you know, some years there's only 1 or 2 days. So you're going to take that away from, like, you know, the whole group.
But does anybody care? I mean, there's no audience anymore. There won't be an audience.
No, there would be, but at the same time, the people that I feel like we should give the deference to is the people that are out there all the time, surfing it all the time. And that, if you're not a rock star, that's fine. But to be asked to like set aside your lifelong passion to like let someone run a little circus is, you know, most of the surfers were already against it a few years ago, and if they were to come out right now, unless it's done really, really well, you're going to have mostly opposition. You know, people not stoked, because why would they be? They're not invited. They're told they can't surf on their favorite spot on the favorite day, and then they see someone else, you know, getting a bunch of money for it. So it's just, I don't know. I would keep it open for now, and like who knows in the future, and potentially there's other ways of doing it, but locking down the water.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's to tell people they can't come or they're not invited is always harsh, you know, and like how you decide and who decides is super important, and you put that over every session of every day, because everyone wants to know, how can I get invited? Oh, we have to do something this weekend. So to think, oh, if you put a event together, it doesn't influence everyone's whole season, you know, not just at Mavericks but other spots, because you know what you do at Jaws could get you invited to Mavericks. So you know, that's why I think it's hard for people to envision how big a footprint it actually has.
Your best wave out there was? Do you have one that sticks out in your mind?
It's funny. You only remember all the really bad ones. Yeah, the good ones. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun now being old, and I'm surfing these single fins that Mark's making, and you know, I don't know, that fun factor has not decreased for me. Like I'm super enthusiastic. I'm so stoked to trade this new board, and I know the wave really well now, so I have ideas of like where I want to get to. And it's not so much backdoor the biggest one, like maybe, you know, in the old days I was like on a wait around for the biggest one. Now I kind of I'm happy with medium ones, and I'm okay for a big one, but how to get going really fast off the bottom. You know, there's a real freedom when you catch a good one. You just like Kai feels all of his whole life like Batman. Like you're going so fast, and it's so cool to have that control and that you know, that rush. But then also like my man, when you surf it, it's kind of like over. You know, like unless it's a full like walled up one. Mavericks gets better in the inside and the middle. It's super intense. Most of the really heavy wipeouts and like stuff is sort of in there, which people don't necessarily see, but it's also some of the most fun surfing. So I can't wait to get my new boards on that stuff. And you know, some of my best rides are the ones I remember more recently.
And your worst wipeout was?
The worst wipeouts.
Do you remember that one?
I mean, the thing about the wipeouts are, it's not the one or the fall, but the whole ordeal of it.
Ride up.
Yeah, and I learned quite a bit even this year about how we hold our breath, how we stay calm. And Greg Long, who's like basically a ninja at this, and 20 years younger than me, and teaching me a lot, explaining that your brain's like a big muscle, it's using tons of oxygen. Even if you're doing nothing, it's like you're doing squats. So if you're underwater panicking, you're burning through oxygen, because your brain is just like playing out all these scenarios, and it's like losing air. And so sometimes in the old days, totally unknowing this, I would get totally smashed, and you have no fear, because you don't. It's like a frozen in the headlights thing or something, where your body knows like you're screwed. If you do anything, it's gonna hurt your chance of survival. So staying calm is the only thing to do. Just kind of wait for it to go away. And that's the thing that all of us that are really into it are able to do. But why that works is so interesting. It's like if you just don't do anything, you actually have a lot of time. So if you start spazzing out, and not just swimming, but thinking about panic, uses up the air. So being able to stay in that calm spot and to understand why it feels like you need a breath, but you actually don't, and then how much longer you actually have, and So we found out this year that the women that are acting in Avatar held their breath over 6.5 minutes.
They did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they are filming underwater and they couldn't have any bubbles.
Wow.
And Tom Cruise had set the actor record for camera underwater or whatever, and they both beat him, Sigourney Weaver and the other girl. So for us, I mean, like that gives me a lot of confidence because I know that those, if they're trained, these actresses are able to put their minds in a calm state and not use up all their air.
6.5 minutes.
That's what we should be able to do. Yeah.
Do you think those new wetsuits for the CO2? Do you think that's now inviting people? That's inviting people out to Mavericks, and that shouldn't be there, or to surf big waves that shouldn't be there because now you have almost kind of like a
Yeah, it's
lifeline.
weird though. I mean, the jury's out on how much that really helps because back to like holding your breath, it's probably not the problem. Like if all of us can hold our breath for a couple minutes, like no hold down is a couple minutes. So it's more about why are you so short of air?
Yeah.
So if you're out of shape or you're panicking, but the vest doesn't guarantee that you come up because in that turmoil, there's a number of people have had multi-wave hold downs with the vest. So if you think it's going to be a get out of jail free card, you're wrong. And similar to the rescue, if you're held under, no one can get you. You know, like Twiggy had this huge wipeout a couple years ago, 60-foot wave. There's every jet ski person in the world. They can't get him until 5 waves. So you better know how to deal with it. The jet skis aren't going to get you, and his thing failed or he pulled the wrong string or whatever. So at the end of the day, I don't think it actually, sends too many people too far into where they shouldn't be. The jet ski is a little bit more concerning, and that impacts everyone. If I have a vest on and I inflate myself, I don't knock people off the wave behind it.
Yeah.
If someone drives in to get me because I fell off on the one, before the big one, the wakes of the jet skis from the guy rescuing me go up the next wave. So I've been a lot of times in the position where you're trying to catch a wave and someone fell off and there's a bunch of chops coming in and that's critical. You could be on your toenails, like barely hanging on, and that little 1 foot
knock you off.
Yeah. So I would argue that we should just keep them out. That it's too dangerous to insert yourself in there where you might hurt someone else. And as a surfer, I wouldn't want to hurt the other guys because of my mistake. Just leave me be, unless I'm, clearly unconscious or clearly 2-wave pull down or shoulder or whatever. So we'll see. But I don't know. Stuff equals out, right? Like the waves, whatever technology we have, we had no leash, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got a leash now that." Whatever. It's a new tool, but still, it's super overpowering, and it will settle the score. So we'll see.
And you brought with you this little toy.
His name's Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. So I'm serious. The kid that's at Santa Cruz, she was younger when they first had it, and they go, "Oh, do you guys want to name it?" And they were watching that show. Will Ferrell. Yeah, so his name was Ricky Bobby, and he came up on the internet with it. It was like Ricky Bobby Buoy, and here's the data. But what he does is he's a personal spotter buoy, and he's able to give us a NOAA buoy report and then some. Like he can tell every single wave that comes by, give us angle, interval, temperature, wind, and that. But we were able to see the set from last spring that caught us all inside. You can pick it out of the data set, these 2 waves that were much bigger than the rest of them, and actually see the buoy got pulled north before the set came. So all the surfers that were waiting for the set got pulled into the pit just before the biggest set came. And that was really cool for me to be able to see.
This information you get from this is immediate, right?
It's immediate, and there's quite a bit more that you have to download, and it captures a raw data set that's much more in depth than a normal buoy, but it's projecting every 10 minutes an average that's more accurate than a NOAA buoy, but it's capable of doing a lot of other special stuff.
How close is the closest NOAA buoy?
The Half Moon Bay buoy is quite a ways out southwest.
Yeah.
And then you have San Francisco Bar buoy, and then we're using Point Reyes and Point Arena, but it's not.
This can get closer.
This is closer, but it really does tell us what happened, like what hit us. So it's just enough time, maybe a minute or two from where it went by this buoy to we caught the wave or it hit us. But there's some farther out, deep in the water to give us an indicator. But to understand what we're actually riding, the NOAA buoys don't give us the data set to be able to tell us which one we got and how big was that.
What has it, just from your own personal use, what has this given you that you didn't know before? What did you learn from having this in the water close to the wave?
Well, that first thing was that a lot of times we'd be triangulating our spot. It's really important to be in the right spot at Mavericks. And before big sets, I would feel us moving, like the group getting pulled in, and I was.
You see when you're obviously you're
Yeah, but it was that would happen, and then a minute or two later, giant waves would come. So these waves aren't visible yet, but the current switched before they came, and then you'd start to connect that. Like, wait, the last time this current switched, a minute and a half later, we all ran for our lives and barely got away. So the current switched, and I tell everybody, like, oh, I think maybe one's coming, and then sure enough, one comes. So this showed it, like that happened. It's not for every angle, but then there was sets at midnight, at 3 a.m., at 5:30. There was 3-hour lulls on that day that the big set caught us in the morning. So we went out there at about 8:30.
Yeah.
There was no big waves for like 3 hours.
Right.
Plenty of Mavericks waves, and we were surfing them. But then this 2 waves come, and if you had seen the data set,
so what you were surfing that time was what, 20 foot?
It was like, what, 30-foot faces, like 15. It was like a 10 to 15
And
foot.
then what 2 waves came?
Yeah, like a proper 20-foot Hawaiian, which is like 40 to 50 foot, and they caught everybody. And that's one thing that I'd say, like, I don't ever really remember where everyone got caught. Like, no one got away, even, you know, Manny and Ion or whoever, Ryan Sealback, and then the guys all the way on the side that were just sort of watching, they got caught, and the people deepest and waiting for the biggest ones, they got caught. And like Manny said, I wasn't even close. Like, by the time he saw it, the best thing he could do was paddle at it and take his leash off and swim under. That's how funny. Then someone goes, did anybody catch one? Like, they didn't even get close enough to even try to paddle over one, let alone catch it.
That's crazy.
So we learned, and we could see that there were none for 3 hours at a time.
Right.
You know, lots of small middle ones, and then these come. And we knew that that's the case, that we've seen that before, like really lully days and that kind of thing. But the way that was created by a typhoon that had moved across and then reformed into another storm, and that created a sort of overlapping double swell that we call like an overachiever, where that would be the one where everyone mispredicted it, like that no one guessed that there would be 50-foot wave on a day that was supposed to be, you know, smaller.
Did all surfers has everyone availability to get the information off of this?
Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, it could be. It's not gonna necessarily help you right now.
It's not?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it could, but with the broader network and understanding of everything will definitely help you. It definitely can tell you exactly what's going on right now, whereas the webcam, you have to watch it for a while to see.
Yeah.
So the buoy is going to show you like the whole hour with the actual, you know, heartbeats on it. Whereas if you're looking at the camera, you're only seeing that 2 minutes. So if there's or however long you look, you know, if there's a 30-minute set, you know, lull, then the buoy will show that. Whereas the cam, you have to watch it.
Is this yours?
No, it's called So Far Ocean, and this is my little, demo partner. But yeah, it's super interesting, and who knows where it'll go. But there's quite a lot more to learn, and I mean, you can tell from right now, like how many times we're off on the swell. Like when we think it'll be big and it's not, or we thought it will do this and it does that. Starting to understand why. Like is it predictable or is it? Could we have foreseen? And I think we all, like the old fisherman, like everyone has that sixth sense, but is it like magical knowledge, or are you actually tuning into stuff that you're not aware of? Like that current thing, like I think I was starting to get the feel of it before I actually put it together. I was like getting, like sort of my nervous system was like, hey man, last time this was bad, so those are the kind of things that we, compared to what we knew 20 years ago, it's a massive difference.
What do you think you can know 10 years from now?
Yeah, like I could definitely imagine a lot of advancements with that, where you have a little watch on you, gives you a little alert, like here it comes. And then, they have already, you can see someone's whole session, like guys can show what they did all day. So to match those things, and each time that you can do that you're going to unwrap some of that mystery, like why did that one feel so much bigger, or felt, more intense, or why do we all get caught inside? So we know now what to be watching out for from last year for those big cleanup sets.
Going back to your cinematography, making films.
Yeah.
What do you got coming out? Anything in the works?
Yeah, well, some fun stuff with the buoy. The 20-foot Hawaii surfline's 20-foot plus game, so we're going to be bouncing around from mostly here, but they'll do a little Portugal action, Hawaii, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of like all the best guys signed up and women to be part of this group, and they're going to produce media and have non-event special broadcasts. and hopefully we can get some footage. You know, sometimes the contests aren't the best for getting footage because you have to stay out of everybody's way, and you're trying to cover every wave. And if your whole goal is to really get really great shots and of the best rides, you don't got to cover all the rest of it, and you're not super worried about keeping it fair and like not moving the camera angles and stuff. So
you're paddling out there with your wetsuit, your fins, and your camera.
Yeah, I don't like my fins. I'm a board guy.
Oh,
I have little legs. Yeah. So Mike Prickett on Maui's a Salt and Air guy.
Yeah.
He worked on the Mavericks movie with us. He's got these little toys that he's setting up for me.
Yeah.
I like to be able to pull it out and surf with everybody, but then take some shots. And then when you're tired, you know, boats and jet skis or stuff are good for filming from. But I really want to be in the water as much as I can, and those are the shots that other people can't get. So I'll be focusing on that. So
recently, I sat down with Bob Pearson and Frosty. And watched Chasing Mavericks at a friend's house. And of course, you know, you have to hear from Frosty every 5 minutes.
Right.
You know,
sure.
Frosty had to talk.
Yeah.
But were you proud of that movie?
Yeah, you know what? I had a funny relationship with it because I was from the beginning to the end part of it, and there's versions of it that are better, and I think one of the things I worked in film forever, but there's reasons bad movies end up getting made, and it's because there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and people are making it worse and thinking they're making it better, and it's like they envisioned a very stereotypical like after school special thing, you know, where we're all like, oh god, you know, that's like bang your head cheesy. They think, oh, that's exactly what we wanted, you know, like they made the cheesy after school thing that they were hoping to. So it could have been worse. It was worse. We fixed it. Jay was a great guy and very deserving of it, and you know, there's a hidden you know, pirate edit or whatever that's not available for anyone, but that it could have been great.
Yeah.
I think it was okay, and you know, it's unfortunate, but it's how it goes.
Oh, yeah, Hollywood got involved.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, you can't imagine. It's just, I have 100 stories of stuff where you're like, wait, why are we using this? They're like, oh, we already paid for the special effects guys to put the fake dish on the back of the shot. Like, but we were gonna that's a crappy shot. Like, oh, well, it's like $200,000 have been spent on the wrong clip, so we're showing that one, and that's when Gerard looks kind of like he's gonna fall off his board, and like, guys, the other shot doesn't have the clip. You don't have to do the thing. Like, oh no, they already pre-agreed to pay the guy for the effects, so we have to use this. And But I could have Jerry. You look cooler in this. He's like, yeah. I think I'm cooler in here.
Sounds like money ran the whole project.
But you know what? Gerard Butler was really cool, and he really wanted it to be good, and we had a lot of fun. And casting the main guys as real people was helpful.
Yeah.
And really, I think what happened was Curtis got sick, and that's the director was one of the last old directors in Hollywood that could like kind of push the studios back and make the movie he wanted. And when he got sick, he left, and the new director was basically didn't care, and it was kind of like, and the studio guys, and it's like, it was pretty funny.
If that's going to be a movie about you, who would play you?
Oh man, no, we can't make a movie about me.
I'm like
you.
No. So who deserves a movie? Do you think? Anybody out there like does Pete deserve one? Do you think?
Oh man, I think we need to wait a while, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Pete deserves one, but I don't know. No, they're doing. I mean, there's other projects happening, and I don't know which ones to talk about. I mean, Big Wave Surfing is deserving of 1,000 movies, 100 stories right here, all over the world. Super intense stuff. A lot of really great people, and you know,
Big
it's
Wave
just hard.
Surfers, Big Wave Surfers, like they're just different.
Yeah.
There's something in their brain that's just not.
Yeah, but then Point Break or whatever comes, you're like, oh my God, like, does it always have to be that? We're not all that bad. Yeah, man, you know, I think I can understand why, way back in the old days, you know, Gidget ruined it, right? Like, they were all like, surfing was cool, and then the Hollywood guys made a movie and wrecked it. But big wave surfing it will be cool no matter what. And I think particularly the paddling into big waves is like this sort of timeless challenge. And you know, tow surfing I think will eventually fall away because they don't need a jet ski when your board could have a jet. So then that'll be like, okay, who's surfing? So back to like who can catch them. That's like a really intense challenge, and that's not going to change. And the equipment's improving. I have a funny interview with Jay Moriarty, and I asked him, you know, what what in the future could happen with big wave surfing, and he was like, he really wanted to answer, and he was having a hard time. He was kind of like, I don't know, man. Like I guess people could go for bigger ones, but geez, like we go for really big ones already, and I guess I could toe into bigger ones, but it was like he couldn't really see past it, and I feel like on the normal waves, the future is smaller boards and better surfing.
Like Kai Lenny.
Well, all these kids, everybody.
Right? The kids are doing crazy.
It should be like a big quantum leap in performance where everyone looks at a video and okay, that's from 2020 later. But then on the giant waves, the guys are training. They have more knowledge, we have more data, we have more availability to put them in the spot to be able to catch waves that are bigger than anybody else has caught. And it's happening already. So what Jay was trying to envision, having a hard time seeing, is clearly within reach. Like these guys are going to catch waves a lot bigger than we thought we could catch, because with all the advances and all their training and their fearlessness and exposure to the other stuff, towing and whatnot, like it's happening. So Renaissance time kind of for big waves, and honestly, I feel like Mavericks is ripe for better riding and more intense. We just need a couple good years because there's a lot of really qualified people, from all over the world.
And youngsters too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Is the public available to get the information for this or no?
Yeah, like I gotta figure it out. Like right now, it's just kind of very sciencey, but the idea of like interfacing it for the public, it for sure is what you do, and only a really good surfer is going to be able to make use of some of it, but it would be helpful for everybody to know what's going on right there. For Mavericks, it's perfect, right? But if you're surfing Ocean Beach, it's only going to help you a little. But all over the world, though, I think in a lot of places they don't have the buoys we have. We have a lot of NOAA buoys here.
Right.
Webcams everywhere. If you're on one of those coastlines that doesn't have a lot of stuff, this is going to be a huge window into what's going on. And then even if you have 10 webcams, like at Waikiki, they don't tell you everything about what's going on in the swell. The cameras are an indicator, but I think it's not overlapping and such as it would be adding to it to have the buoy out there too. And then you can know, that's why this side's better than the other side.
Right.
So, but it's so much of it that we don't know, and I think the more I learn, the more I feel like we don't know.
Well, since every time I see you always had, when I was every time I see you always had the same fun stoke level for Mavs. It doesn't like, I'm kind of getting over. I'm over it.
No, I'm not over it at all. No, it's funny. I'm so psyched. Yeah, and I had a great time, with that Greg Knoll project and stuff, and like you could see that people, the passion was there, like straight through. You can't do what you did when you were 20 or 30, but you can still get a lot of fulfillment, and the quest is still the same. I want to see those big days. I want to, it's just, like we watch a car commercial and see a wave in the background, and all we are like, you see that? It's how we are, and like it's great, man. I feel super tied into it, and like as enthusiastic as ever for.
Absolutely, you are.
Big kid.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for being
Well,
here.
stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more.
Something's coming soon, hopefully.
Something's coming soon.
Got it.
Stay tuned, huh?
Eventually, right? Even the worst years have to pass.
There'll be waves here.
No, they're coming. They're coming. There's never been a year without some good Mavericks days. That's what I got.
Right?
And they might be a little bit weirder, and you got occasional down season, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
See you soon. Love the family.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife will be happy.